Hello, welcome to my first rant video. As I've stated in my welcoming video, I would like to give my thoughts on various media. And I had just finished watching the movie Marry Me that stars Jennifer Lopez and Owen Wilson. I'm probably going to start off with spoilers, and then if you want to check it out yourself or see if I recommend it or not, then skip over to the chapter that just says if I would recommend it or not. I'm not entirely sure why I looked up the trailer. I remember I was browsing around HBO Max with my husband, and we were talking, and then I brought up the movie Marry Me, and he said, oh, the trailer doesn't look that great. I was like, oh, you've seen it? So I start watching it, the trailer, and at first I'm like, okay, this seems a little cute, and I stop watching the trailer because they tend to be too spoilery, and then they end up showing everything that happened in the movie, which this trailer did show a lot. So I started watching the movie, open mind, and I like that there was a little nod to Pretty Woman at the beginning. There's a scene with a necklace, and anyways. And when we get to know Owen Wilson's character, you see that he's a math teacher, and he has a math club, and they're called the Pythons. Pi spelled P-I, 3.14 pi sort of thing, which I thought that was cute. To backtrack a bit, Jennifer Lopez is a character named Kat. She's a big star, and she's going to marry this other celebrity, Bastian, and they're going to be performing live, and they're going to get married live in front of in a concert sort of setting. And then you have Owen Wilson, who is a dad. He has part custody of his daughter. She's starting school at the school he teaches at. He's a math teacher, and he's been pointed out to be boring, and his daughter is a bit distant towards him. Anywho, there's a scene where Owen Wilson, Charlie, my god, that took forever for me to figure out his name. Like, it would not stick. But Charlie is in the hall, hiding in the stairwells with his co-worker, a guidance counselor at the school, Sarah Silverman's character. Her name's Parker. And then the music teacher is passing by, and his ringtone for Marry Me pops up. That's the name of the song that Jennifer Lopez and her boyfriend are singing. Sarah Silverman's character, Parker, she ends up saying, oh, I'm going to take my girlfriend and her ex-girlfriend to this concert, which I'm like, wait, what? Why are you taking your girlfriend and her ex-girlfriend? And honestly, I think it was just some lame excuse of why there was a reason of her having 2 extra tickets. And I'll get to that in a second. So a quote from the movie. Parker says, tomorrow would have been our anniversary, because she just got dumped over text. Charlie says, you went out for what, 2 weeks? Which Parker responds with, 17 days if you include the breakup. And this really grinds my gears, because it's like, you were dating for 2 weeks. What the fuck do you mean anniversary? Does no one know what the word anniversary means? It means year. Year. I recently saw Tall Girl 2, where there was a 3-month mark that they were celebrating, and they also used the word anniversary, and I guess that's just a pet peeve of mine now, where people are misusing the word anniversary. Anywho, Parker had just gotten dumped by her girlfriend, and she has 2 spare tickets. So she's like, hey, Charlie, come to the concert with me. It'll make you fun. Which he tries to use the excuse of, I have my daughter. I can't go to a concert. And then Parker's like, that's great, because I have 2 spare tickets. And that's great and all, but like the explanation of why she had 2 tickets to spare is because she was going to take her girlfriend. That's believable. But also her girlfriend's ex-girlfriend. Less believable. So this is barely 10 minutes into the movie, and I already have some questions, So we go to the concert, and Jennifer Lopez is performing, blah, 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 and she makes eye contact with Bastian, her fiance, and then he performs a song while she's off stage and everything, and that's when everybody's seen the 6-page news that he was cheating on her. And then after his song, he goes to her, and he says, quote, I know the groom is not supposed to see the bride before the wedding. Which took me out of it, because they both made eye contact and such before he performed his song. So what the fuck do you mean I'm not supposed to see the bride before the wedding? My husband was like, well, maybe it was not supposed to see her in her dress. And I'm like, okay, but that doesn't make much sense either, because their whole entire, like their wedding outfit, like her dress, was used as advertisement for their concert/wedding. So I don't know. Again, it was a line. It took me out of it. It annoyed me. So she finds out what happened, how he cheated on her. And, she's going back up on stage. She's being lifted up. And she drops her manager's phone. And although I can understand being heartbroken and fallen apart, just the way it was framed, I was kind of like, dude, you just dropped his phone like that. And then 2 seconds later, you see that she is holding onto a mic with her other hand. So she's so distraught that she can drop the manager's phone, but she can hold on to the microphone with her other hand. Okay, I mean, maybe I'm just nitpicking, but I don't know. So then she's talking to everyone, and honestly, that whole entire speech was just kind of her rambling, and I was just thinking, is this just supposed to be someone that's distraught and making absolutely no sense at all? She's just talking about making a change, just going for it, and then she points to Owen Wilson's character, who's holding a "Marry Me" sign, and she's like, oh, hey, I'm gonna marry you, okay? And I'd like to point out that the people in charge of the projection screen, my god, I had to record that a few times because I was mispronouncing it, immediately shows Owen Wilson's face, and I'm kind of like, wait. She is looking at a crowd of people and points out, and they instantly know who the fuck she was, pointing to? Like, this makes no sense. Again, maybe this is something more, maybe this is me more nitpicking, because as a writer, a creator of things, I try to look at every fine detail, and so a lot of people might have not noticed this. But I guess this kind of just goes along with the whole premise of, okay, she picks a random guy in the crowd to marry, and he goes along with it, and I'm supposed to just push aside that this guy happens to be single, that he happens to be straight, that he happened to be holding a sign that said "Marry Me," even though that was the name of the fucking song that she had been promoting and singing and whatever. It's a lot of coincidences, a lot of things that needed to line up for me to suspend my disbelief. And then they get married, and afterwards, her ex-fiance's kind of acting like a jerk. And you know what? I didn't mind it. I like that he, this guy's a cheating asshole, and he was behaving like a jerk, and he wasn't taking any fault to her marrying some random dude. And then Owen Wilson leaves with Jennifer Lopez, and they arrive at, I'm assuming, her house. And all the while, I'm like, wait a minute, wait a fucking minute. You just left your daughter alone at the concert with your friend/coworker? Are you fucking serious? This whole entire time, you've been showing, this movie had been showing how he was a caring father, how he's trying to reach out to her, and she's the one that's been pushing him away, and all this other stuff, and how much he cares about his damn daughter, and then he just leaves her at the concert. Just doesn't even think about it anymore. He just left her at the fucking concert. I mean, afterwards, when he's about to go home, then Parker calls, and she's like, what the hell happened? And he's like, oh, where's Lou? Now you fucking care? And she's like, oh, I dropped her off at her mom's, and she's fine. And I'm just like, that's very convenient that you're just now calling at this moment. There were no missed calls. It was just, yeah, let's mention the daughter, because she's important, right? I did think that it was cute how the manager of Kat seemed close to her, and it wasn't just like, oh, hey, I only care about money, or, you're my golden ticket sort of thing. He did seem to be a friend to her, which, again, I thought was nice. But he even points out the insanity, the thing that you have to suspend your disbelief for this movie with, quote, out of 10,000 potential dumpster fires, you picked a decent straight single father with no criminal record, and get this, he's a maths teacher. Maths, plural, because I love how British people say that. And then the scene where they're trying to convince him to stay married was cute. And then it goes to a press conference where, you know, people are trying to interview them, saying like, oh, hey, look, you did an impulsive thing. What are you doing? Like, you just married a random stranger. Are you saying that's okay? And it was like the movie was trying to point out, yes, that was impulsive, but I'm not going to answer that, and just, you know, you got to do something different and live in the moment. It's like they were not necessarily trying to justify that it was impulsive, but just change the direction and just be like, don't think about it. I don't know. That was the impression I got from the press conference. Because you know what? That is the thing. That is fucking crazy to just marry a complete stranger just like that. And then just be like, yeah, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to make it seem like I'm not crazy, because that was her whole entire reason of staying married, is so she doesn't seem like the fool, the punchline of a joke. I'm going to skip forward a bit and just kind of give more of my impression of Kat, where it's like, okay, it's nice. She's a character who believes that people are good even if they've done terrible things. She mentions how her ex-husband had exposed a sex tape on her, and that she was willing to try to make it work out even after he exposed that. And I'm like, okay, I guess. But then, you know, the guy that cheated on her, Bastian, she tries to give him like a second chance twice in the movie or so, and it's kind of like, wait a minute, he doesn't even fucking say sorry to you, and you're gonna want to try to give him a second chance because he's not really a bad guy. I mean, it seems like a nice message of, oh, hey, look, she's sweet and kind, but to me, it just made her seem weak, like she doesn't respect herself, that she's willing to be with a guy that wouldn't even say sorry for something that he wronged her with. Like, that's what frustrated me. And then I'm gonna transition to a nitpick. There's a blender scene where I was taken out of immersion because she uses the blender without the lid. And for me to believe that this rich celebrity has an expensive blender that will work without the lid, I mean, it doesn't happen. Like, modern blenders do not work without the lid on. This scene would not have happened. It was just a plot device. And I just, like, it took me out of it, because I'm like, there's no way that's a cheap blender that would work without the lid. There's no way. Maybe it's a nitpick, whatever. Something else that annoyed me was the fact that I couldn't really tell if Owen Wilson and Jennifer Lopez were married or not. Like, it was officiated, they're like, yeah, it's legal, or they're like, and then there was even a thing of like, well, to make it fully legal, you have to fill in the paperwork, and it's like, okay, then fill in the paperwork. And then Owen Wilson kept saying, well, we're technically not married. And it's like, wait, are you married? Are you not? And then at the end of the movie, she's like, will you marry me again? And it's like, so did they get divorced? Were they married? Like, I am so confused. And going back to the end of the movie before she proposes, where Jennifer Lopez's character, you know, she leaves Jimmy Fallon because she finally realized that she's in love with Owen Wilson's character, and she takes a plane, she gets out of the airport where she meets Parker, and they're trying to go to the mathalon, and Parker, you know, they couldn't get an Uber, so Parker just stands in front of a bus and doesn't get hit, and I'm like, wait, that bus was able to stop in time with how close you were? Are you fucking serious? And then she gives something about like, oh, true love, help them out, blah, 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 to the driver. And then when that doesn't work, Parker's like, oh, Kat will give you $1,000. And I'm supposed to believe that this shuttle driver is willing to give up his job for $1,000. Okay, yeah, sure. Some guy is gonna help out some celebrity for $1,000 and, you know, risk losing his job. I'm gonna believe that, right? Okay. And the last bit happened at the end, like end credits and such, was people saying how they met, and it just kind of left me thinking, what the fuck was the message of this movie? That you can meet the love of your life spontaneously through random means. What the fuck was that? Was it that you gotta do something different? Because that was mentioned a lot. You gotta do something different. Like, what do you mean you gotta do something different? Do something spontaneous and impulsive and fucking crazy? Like, what? Okay, I'll admit, there were some positives. There were some cute moments. There were some little things that I was like, oh, that's actually pretty clever. Like the whole entire Python thing. But at the end of the day, would I watch it again? No, I wouldn't. Would I recommend it to someone? No, I wouldn't. I think there are better romantic comedies that you can watch than Marry Me. So, yeah. And I think part of the reason why I really did not like this movie was that there is way too much singing. Way too much. And maybe that was more, I just didn't like the songs that were there, because I remember watching music and lyrics and not being bothered by the songs that were in there. Or something like Moulin Rouge, which is a musical, or Sweeney Todd, another musical, and I love those, but I just did not enjoy all the music and singing that was in this one. Check out the movie if you want. I wouldn't recommend it, but you know what? You do you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my video. I hope it was enjoyable. Don't forget to wear sunscreen, and I hope to see you again. Bye for now.